All right, a late evening update because I think it's worth it. A lot of folks in Florida tonight watching this storm. A lot of people have friends and family in Florida. You're wondering what's going on. This storm is just mind-blowing to me. 180 miles per hour. That is the maximum sustained wind. That means it's consistent with higher gust in this thing. The pressure now down to 897 millibars. That was at the 8 p.m. update. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. So this storm continues to rapidly strengthen. And in fact, it may be going through an eyewall replacement cycle, but we're going to look at why this thing may actually get even stronger. That's kind of hard to imagine, right? It really is. It would not shock me. And some of the language even coming from the National Hurricane Center, some of their discussions saying this thing may go through another cycle where it fires back up again on Tuesday. So that will be interesting to watch. What I don't like, though, is this thing moves toward Florida. It's going to get bigger, and that means a bigger impact for a lot more people. Forecast still brings this thing right into the west coast of Florida as a major hurricane. Weather.gov or head to the National Hurricane Center. Make sure you're following all local evacuation orders. That's where you need to get your official information from. Also from the National Weather Service, that's where you need to catch all the warnings at for where you are. If you have an evacuation order, get out. This is your peak storm surge. The highest looks to be here into Tampa Bay, south, all the way to, say, Charlotte Harbor, where it could be anywhere from 6 up to 10 to maybe 15 feet. Think about that ocean coming up 15 feet from Clearwater Beach down to St. Pete Beach. It's a beautiful area. I've spent so much time in that region. I love St. Pete Beach. I love that entire area up to Clearwater. And then you cross the bridge and you go down to Bradenton. It's just a beautiful part of the state. And look, I love all of Florida, but you think of that storm surge, how destructive this is going to be. The National Weather Service, in one of their discussions, I don't remember which office I read this from, but they were talking about how this is going to be a storm that hasn't been seen in this part of the country or this area, especially particularly in Tampa Bay, in at least 100 years. No one alive in that region has seen a storm like this. This is how different it is. You think I've seen a storm like this? You've not. No one has seen one this strong. That's their wording coming out. That's pretty powerful. So when they start using words like catastrophic, devastating, destructive, those types of things where buildings will be uninhabitable for long periods of time, that's your cue. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the storm surge. We're also looking at storm surge along the east coast of Florida. I've been talking about that for the last couple of days. Now we're seeing it start to show up here on some of the official forecast. 3 to 5 feet looks to be the maximum, but we're talking about all the way up into parts of South Carolina. It really starts to pick up once you get here into Georgia. Some places could see 3 to 5 feet of rise here from Jacksonville south all the way to Daytona Beach. And then once you get down towards Cape Canaveral, south of that towards Sebastian Inlet, you're talking about 2 to 4 feet of rise on an easterly flow as the storm comes across the state. So a wide area of impact here. Let's sort of break this down time-wise. The storm expected to get bigger. All right, it may weaken some. Do not be deceived. You're going to look on TV. You're going to hear on the internet, this thing is now category 4, or it's downgraded to a 3. Oh, it's no problem. Well, the thing is, it's being downgraded because it's encountering wind shear. It's just making the storm, if anything, bigger. Those winds may not be as strong, and I'm not so sure that exactly happened. So this thing still may come ashore as a major hurricane. The forecast is for it to do that, so just treat it that way. It's better to be over-prepared and then let down and go, oh, it really wasn't that bad. But boy, aren't you glad you got out if it did get bad. So don't wait around. You've got one more day, and that's Tuesday to prepare, because by the time we get into Wednesday, it's on. And those effects will start to be felt as early as Wednesday. You're going to start to get those tropical storm force winds, and the power is going to go out, and then you're going to get flooding, and then it's going to be on. This thing is going to rip across the state too. It's going to probably maintain hurricane status across the peninsula. Florida's flat, not a lot of friction here. Low-lying areas. We've had a lot of rain. And it's interesting too, there's actually been some research, and I don't remember where exactly I saw it, but talking about how especially in some of the lower swampy areas, places that have a lot of moisture on the ground, and it's been raining a lot in Florida, so the ground is really wet. So if you think about it, there's still a lot of moisture out there for this storm. It's moving across an area that is quite saturated. It's also clearly Florida. It's still warm. So it's probably not going to lose a lot of strength. If anything, what's going to start to tear it apart is this strong wind shear. That is also going to cause the storm to probably get a little bit bigger, not necessarily weaker. I'm going to show you what we're talking about. Here's where the storm is now. It's down here in this environment it's really void of shear. Up in this area, That's where the highest wind shear is. That's the change of wind direction with height. So as you go up in height, the wind may be coming out of the southwest, where at the surface it may be coming out of maybe the southeast or the south. So when storms encounter that, they usually get ripped apart. Down here, it's nice. That's why we're probably going to see more growth. That will start to wrap up now as we head into Wednesday on the north and northeast side of this. It starts to get sheared out, but that's also going to make the storm get bigger. Eventually, it will start to go extra tropical and lose those characteristics once it's out to sea, but we've got to get there first. All the ensemble plots say this thing's coming inland, so not looking good. And then I'm telling you, along the coastal areas of Georgia, South Carolina, watch out, not just high waves, but some gusty winds. And those could extend inland into parts of South Georgia where we just saw Helene. I know the gusts may only be 40 miles per hour, but we've got a lot of loose trees, damaged trees, and it wouldn't take much to push things down. And there's the official forecast. Again, we've talked about the storm surge. This is a little bit of a different view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Check this out. We're going to go right down into Tampa. So let me go back here. We'll change the parameters back to this. I mean, this is just devastating. Bringing the low right across Tampa Bay. And then look, this is I-4 here. Here is I-95, Orlando in this area. I mean, this is a destructive storm from Orlando to Apopka, and then out towards Daytona Beach as this storm moves off to the north and east. So this is just going to just tear right through the state. And then even across parts of North Florida too, we're going to see damage here as well. I mean, that onshore flow here, strong damaging winds up through Gainesville, north up to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, we're going to be right on the edge of it. But again, even into parts of Georgia, we could see some gusty northeast winds. Tallahassee, the winds could pick up a little bit. We could see some rain. But, you know, if you're out here, say, toward Panama City, I mean, you don't want to turn your back and not pay attention to it, or Destin. This storm is well south of you, but you definitely are going to see the storms, the swells and the waves are going to pick up. The sea is going to be quite angry. And then as we head into by Thursday and Friday, it's finally gone. So there's a lot to unpack here, I know. And, you know, we didn't even really touch on the tornado risk as we head into this probably Wednesday night into Thursday. With a landfalling hurricane, you get that change of wind direction with height. So we'll likely see some of those spin up. Wouldn't be shocked if we get several of those. And tornado watches will probably go out as we get a little bit closer. Plenty of warnings out too. So again, head to weather.gov. That's where you can get the latest warnings up and down the coast. Let's just go to weather.gov, and you can clearly see across Florida right now, we've got these hurricane warnings well inland too. I mean, all the way from Orlando up to Ocala. On the east coast of Florida, we've already got advisories out. It looks like we've got tropical storm watches and warnings. You know, I don't know what time you're watching this, so all this could change. So that's why you want to head there and get the latest. And of course, super dangerous storm surge on the west coast of Florida with those storm surge warnings. All right, that's all I got. If you enjoy this kind of content, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. And I really like to hear from you guys down below. Do you have friends and family in Florida? Are you in Florida? Drop me a note down below. I'd like to hear from you. And hey, if you're not in Florida and you're watching this, say a prayer to your friends down there tonight, because they're going to need it over the next couple of days. It's going to get really rough in this part of the country. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.